Good morning, everybody. Wow, look at all these beautiful souls and faces and people here. And we have some people on Zoom and on YouTube joining us. It is a magical Sunday. I think I called this, I didn't have a talk title from Daniel, so I think I called it the Magical Musical Sunday. That seemed appropriate. And I see we have people from Comox, we have people from Nanaimo, we have people from Victoria, we have people from all over the island joining us. That is a beautiful thing. So yesterday I was informed that I did not introduce myself. It's just the way I roll sometimes. So for those that don't know me, my name is Thomas DeShooter, also known as Rev T or Reverend Thomas, and this is my first time back in Victoria since I became the senior minister of Unity Vancouver Island. Yeah, thank you. And it is a great pleasure, of course. It is also a great weight of both confusion and joy. Because I'm excited at the opportunity, and I'm confused. The first day I became the senior minister, I called Reverend Patricia and I said, "Is there something I'm supposed to do?" I'm not really sure, like, am I supposed to do something right now? Like, what does this mean? So I'm growing into that, and it's great, and it's wonderful. Some housekeeping. So the restrooms are down this hallway. There's one to the right for all humans, and then there's the next hallway down to the left. There's individualized rooms as well, restrooms. Refreshments will be straight down the hall at the end, so we'll meet thereafter. Excuse me? Room 119. Is there 119 rooms in here? Is that what that means? Daniel Nahmod has a wonderful table of both the jewelry that his wife makes as well as his music, so a very artistic flowing table that you can visit after service and bring home some mementos with you. I think that's it. Oh yes, there will be the opportunity at the end for offering to support Unity Vancouver Island. Of course, we are a not-for-profit, so the way we actually are able to do something like bring an artist like Daniel Nahmod into town is through donations and contributions to Unity Vancouver Island, and we are incredibly blessed. So I'll talk a little bit about that again later. And Gail, were you signaling me? Cell phones. Oh, cell phones. Yes, please, everybody, turn your ringers on full volume now, and let's go. Please turn off your cell phones and yeah, anyhow, just try not to allow that to interrupt us.
Just set them to stun.
That's right, yes. I was thinking of that. I think I said that last night, like phasers on stun from Star Trek. Yeah, so just put them to stun, that'll be great, and it'll stun you, and it'll last time it'll ever do that. All right, so before I let Daniel take over, who's already come on stage to kind of think to push me off, maybe. No, I'm kidding. I figured that as the new.
What does the band play in this church
to get me off? We're working on it. So I think as senior minister, I reserve the right to use the mic whenever I want to use it. So I just realized that this morning, actually at about 5:30 this morning, I realized like, hey, wait a second, I can just go up to the mic and say whatever I need to say because that's my role apparently. So before I let Daniel take over things, I wanted to share something. So anybody here a fan of Charles Fillmore? His writings, his teachings? Yeah, this is Unity, of course. I just thought I'd ask, just to clarify. I was looking the other day for one of his books, Atom Smashing Power, and I knew I had a PDF copy somewhere in my world of my computer. I couldn't find it, but I came across Jesus Christ Heals, and I had not read that yet. I think I read a chapter for one of my classes, but I had not read the entire book. Anyhow, a couple of weeks ago, during a service, I had mentioned, and I know you all remember this because you listen so well to everything I say. I had said that I had come to the place in my life where, to me, the word God now just meant life itself. That entire energy of life being was in fact God. Not that I could even put a word or a description on what the all, everything, everywhere, all at once is. That is what I had come to the place for myself. So I was reading yesterday morning, I was reading from Jesus Christ Heals, and I got to this beautiful place in here. Now, I'm not comparing myself to Charles Fillmore, so don't think that. So he says, Jesus said God is spirit, not a spirit as in the King James Version. According to Webster, the word spirit means life or living substance considered independently of corporeal existence, an intelligence conceived of apart from any physical organization or embodiment, vital essence, force, or energy as distinct from matter. Then I read on and it says, spirit is not matter, spirit is not a person. Then he said this, and this was like my little aha for me. God is life. Now, it took me, all of my life to get to that point. I was raised in a Catholic household. I went to Sunday school, I went to church every Sunday, and I feel like I have been wrestling with the word God and spirituality my entire life. In fact, in school, I went to public school, none of my friends went to church. I was the only one that went to church, and I constantly had this battle of morality based on being raised in a Catholic household. Swearing, like, oh, I was bad, I was gonna go to hell for swearing. Like all of those things that were my understanding of what it meant to be a moral and good person was always at a wrestling match with my friends who thought I was foolish and unfortunate that I had this teaching in my life or that I had religion in my home. Now, for me, I've always looked at it like, no, actually that for me was an advantage because I got to see something that at least I could maybe guide my life with, although I battled it extensively. I am, after all, named after Doubting Thomas. My mom told me that all the time. And so I always doubted. I always had questions. I still have questions. I still doubt today. Even though I read that from Charles Fillmore, as soon as I read God is Life, I go, but really? Is that true? I don't know. Maybe I need to examine that a little more. But that's what I think we're here to do. I think there's a book that just came out by George Gerson, We Who Wrestle with God. That's what I feel like I've been doing my whole life, is wrestling with that idea. And I hope to continue to wrestle with that idea, because I don't know what it is. I only know where I am today with it. And my goal is to allow that to expand and unfold, right? Unity Vancouver Island is a growing, unfolding, expanding center of light and love, mighty to attract its good and radiate good to others. Those are the words that made me come back the second time and keep me coming back. And so I hope that's the same for all of you. I hope that for all of us, none of us are stuck with what it is or what it isn't. That as soon as we think we know, we question it. And as soon as we think we don't know, we question even that. That is what I believe a spiritual community looks like, is we're constantly in that question. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to unfold and grow and expand with all of you. And I invite any of you to challenge me on anything I say ever, any ideas I share, and have a conversation. Because to me, it happens in the world of dialogue. We need to speak to one another from a place of love and connection and inquiry. Be inquisitive. Ask somebody if they have a statement, ask them why. Why do you feel that way? Maybe you'll find something that you didn't know before. It's now my great pleasure to welcome, to carry on the rest of today's service. For all of those that were here last night, Daniel Nahmod put on a wonderful performance for us of music and stories, and I know he's going to do much the same now for us here today and for those joining us on stream, as we've actually managed to stream this out this morning. Even though the Wi-Fi in the house broke, it's not working, we're actually using my internet connection from my phone with Rogers. So hopefully the streaming is okay as it goes through my phone up to the internet. Without further ado, please welcome Daniel Nahmod.
Thanks. Hello. Aloha. For every hill there is a valley. For every winter the promise of spring. For your heartache there will be healing, though it's not easy remembering. For every tear there's comfort, I promise. For every midnight the deep breath of dawn. But in the darkness no one can blame us for wondering how everything went so wrong. For wondering when the lights will come back on. What if the sky is always blue, just beyond the clouds? What if the only thing to do is live this life out loud? 'Cause it's gonna hurt sometimes, no matter what we do. Never mind the doubts, 'cause just beyond our view, I believe the sky is always blue. Here we go again. The headlines are screaming fear and division, diminished returns. But even in these dark days, let's keep on believing that the sun still brightly burns. Maybe that's what we are here to learn. What if the sky is always blue, just beyond the clouds? If this is only an illusion, just beyond our view. I believe the sky is always blue. We've all heard this kind of story. Somebody's diagnosed that their time is suddenly short. And in the back of our minds we wonder, what if that news was mine? Would we do more of the same with the moments that remain? Would we live like we were dying? Why wait? Why wait for that fateful fall, for that wake-up call? Why wait until it's too late? There is only today. We've all heard this kind of story. An earthquake strikes the coast of a distant land. It seems like every time we come together as humankind, we make a different choice. Kindness cuts through all the noise, and we're suddenly united. Why wait? Why wait for that pouring rain, for that hurricane? Why wait until it's too late? There is only today. Why wait? Oh, and when an ambulance goes by, everybody pulls aside. The holidays put smiles on every face. So tell me, what's the reason why we need excuses to decide we are part of only one human race? We all heard this kind of story. Someone keeps her dream a secret all her life. Why wait? Why wait? 'Cause if we don't try, oh, that dream may die. Why wait until it's too late? Let the future fall away. Let regret evaporate. There is only today. Why wait? One of my favorite subjects is availability. So I thought I would, hello everybody, by the way, nice to see you. I thought I would, if you were at my concert last night, you know it's not necessarily my first instinct to sing more, talk less. Sorry. My wife is out there somewhere in town thinking she just had a surge of, yeah, that's definitely true. And she doesn't know why. And, but I thought I would I'm choosing some songs for a reason. I'll talk a little bit about them. But as a theme, as a thought, I'll just pose the question, what feeling do you wish you had that might be more available than you think? Might be more readily available than you're led to believe. The sky is always blue, a feeling of sort of an underlying, how's it radical? Here's a radical thought, underlying optimism instead of cynicism. Or why wait? A feeling of possibility, potential, capability, instead of limitation. This next song, I wrote in the back of a slot canyon in Utah. I talked about it last night a bit. Moab, Utah area, Red Rock country. 1,000-foot high cliffs on all sides of me except for one. It had just snowed, but the snow doesn't last there, so there's a little bit of snow melt coming, dripping 1,000 feet. Just watch little drops come down and land in a pool which had like a thin layer of ice on it, and but not fully frozen. And out of that pool was a kind of a, I want to say rivulet. I don't know if I need to use a word like that. A little stream of water heading out of the canyon all the way, not that far, maybe 200-300 meters, you would say, I would say yards, you know, heading down out of the canyon towards the Colorado River, which ultimately empties into the ocean. So I'm watching these drops of water come down, land in this pool, flow out, and I'm sitting on a boulder, like the size of, realistically, it's probably twice the size of this piano, right? I'm sitting on a boulder with my little Taylor guitar, they call it a baby Taylor, like the size of a tennis racket. And I have a little backpack with a bottle of water. I'm woefully underprepared for the wilderness. Like, terribly, I mean, like, I absolutely could have been one of those cautionary tales where nobody ever saw Danny again, you know? I really did get lucky multiple times. So I'm sitting on a boulder with my little guitar and a bottle of water and a voice recorder, because as I mentioned last night, in this place, I was there for 3 months on a sort of sabbatical, and I was writing songs day and night. Ended up, I said last night, 125 songs new during those 3 months. I couldn't stop, and if you think about any art form you've ever been involved in, anything you've ever loved to do, imagine you are completely and totally out of excuses for not doing it. I mean, there's nothing left. You name the excuse. I've got a headache, no headache. I've got work to do, no work to do. I've got appointments, no appointments. My wife needs me, no wife. You know, this is all before. I had nothing. There was no internet in the house. There was no phone in the house. There was no TV in the house that I rented in Utah, and I had nowhere to go, nothing to do. My slate was clear. So every time I had a thought about a song, which I have all the time, I was fresh out of excuses, so I wrote it, you know. And there I was sitting on this boulder watching the snow melt, and found myself thinking something new about how hard I'd been working, how much I'd been worrying, how much credit I was prepared to take if this or that worked out well, how much blame I was prepared to absorb if it didn't work out well, how in control I figured I must be of my own life and maybe the lives of people around me, how in control I wanted to be, and watching that water trickle down from the cliff into that little pool and out to the Colorado River. This is the song that I wrote that day. I can still picture the spot and remember the day. This is 2006 in about January. So as I talk about availability, feelings that are available, more available than we realize, peace of mind, capability, optimism. I'm right now in my mind, because you were kind enough to listen to me describe that place, I'm back there. So while I'm back there, you're invited to go back wherever was the prettiest, quietest, calmest place you have ever been. George Carlin, the comedian, used to say we spend the first 9 months of our lives trying to get out of the womb and the rest of our lives trying to get back in. So where is your womb? Go there right now. It's available. I've seen my share of struggle when I thought that I knew best, when I've sailed through a storm instead of stopping to rest. But it always seems the hardest when I've made up my stubborn mind. Well, I'm changing my ways this time. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. Have you ever seen an eagle head straight into the wind? He doesn't pick a fight, spreads his wings and just gives in. And in the end he always makes it home just fine. Guess he knows that every storm subsides. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. I'll let nature take its course. No more thinking that I know where this river's meant to go. I have railed against the stars for the cards that I've been dealt, for the lottery I've never won, for the heartache that I've felt. But it always seems when I let go of expectation and regret, life has plenty of surprises for me yet. I want to be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Want to be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. Wanna be like water coming down a mountain into shadowy canyons, flowing from pool to stream. Wanna be like water, head uphill no more. I am bound for the sea. through asking where I'm going. I've been asking all my life. I've grown tired of all this wondering when everything seems to turn out right. So when my mind needs something to do, wants to know the future, I whisper this: I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. You want to sing those lines with me? I'm okay. I'm okay. I've always been. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. And I'll always be that way. I'm going to dare you to sing it again. I'll tell you why. Because there's a man who I did not know who once approached me and asked if I would produce a record for him of him singing this song that I'm interrupting brutally. And he came to my studio, and I said, so why is it you want, he's not a professional singer, why is it you wanted to sing this song? And he said, Daniel, I've been a professional pilot for 30 years. By all external measures, I'm an accomplished man, happily married, child, well and healthy. He said, and then you sang that song, and you asked the audience if they wanted to sing that line with you. I'm okay, I've always been, and I'll always be that way, he said. And I started singing it, and I broke down sobbing in the back of the room. And I realized that I have never felt like I'm okay. And he tells me that he's married to a man, and his small town, I believe it was in North Carolina, knew he was gay before he did, was brutal to him. He left town as young as he possibly could, never went back, and rose in the ranks as a professional pilot, and again made a real life for himself. And he said, but you asked me to sing those lines, and I realized that was never healed. I never felt okay. And he said, I am here to claim it. And he sang his head off in the studio. And it was so emotional and beautiful to hear him do it. And I think of him now every time I sing the song. And that's why I invite you to sing it with me one more time. So in case that is a feeling that has eluded you, it is in fact available. I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. You ready? I'm okay. I've always been. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. And I'll always be that way. So here goes nothing. I'm taking a chance. I'm opening up, knowing that I'm in good hands. And here goes everything. It's all on the line. Oh, but I'm not afraid this time. Some say it's crazy. Some say naive to close my eyes and take the lead. But I know better, 'cause I believe even in the dark my soul can see. So when my mind plays its usual games, oh, my answer is always the same. Yeah. Here 'cause I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. I'm okay. I've always been, and I'll always be that way. There's the kind of life when every choice you make's the safe one, predictable, when every moment's like the last one, everything even slightly barely scary is locked away. It's the kind of life where your engine's never gunning, sit tight, I know your heart is hardly running, nobody better be messing with the schedule for your usual day. Then there's the kind of life where your pot of gold may never come, where your dream's so big it's never done, where your work feels less like work than fun. Tell you what I want, that one, that one. I want that one, yeah. Give me the kind of life where wrong is sometimes right and black is sometimes white as well. I want that one, oh yeah, that one. I will fail and I'll succeed, I'll laugh and I will bleed. Every day's a mystery and time will always tell. Look at me, going a million different directions, messy me, I call it perfect imperfection. Don't bother asking me where I'm headed, cause I really don't know. No, crazy me, today I may become a rock star, then again it would be so cool to drive a NASCAR. Tomorrow I might decide to wrestle crocodiles for Nat Geo. You don't need to say that my pot of gold may never come. I know my work is never done, but if a life can be never-ending fun, tell you what I want, that one, I want that one, yeah. Give me the kind of life where I'm kind of flying blind and black is sometimes white as well. I want that one, not some boring, ordinary, flat one. I will fail and I'll succeed, I'll laugh and I will bleed. Every day's a mystery, yeah. That's the life for me. Oh, that's the life for me. That one. Now I have a kind of an unfair, I don't know if it's unfair, but I have an advantage in availability of feelings. Not because I was raised to feel things, by the way, so I was definitely not. I am so much the weirdo in my family. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you, and I bet many of you are too. Come on. Right? Raise your hand if you are the hippie in the family. Yeah. And I'm not a hippie. I'm clearly. I mean, I'm dressed like an accountant, you know, but an underdressed, a poorly dressed accountant, but an accountant, you know. But something in me always wanted, I don't know, feelings more than thoughts, or something deeper rather than something shallower. And I bet you did too. This is a song, I believe, Thomas, I believe you mentioned this one. You can sing with me if you know it. But I just thought of, there's a line in this song now that makes me have to sing it. If you were at the concert last night, you know, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making it. I mean, I know what I'm doing, but I don't really know what I'm doing. All right. So here's a song from Sacred Love. One of my, it's not even a prayer song, this one. It's more of a decision, and it really is about availability, right? I don't know about you. If you read the news, which I'm so sorry if you do, and I'm sorry that I do, every time and I don't know why I do, but every time I do, I have a line I sang in a song last night called Unjaded. There's a line that says, I wonder why they say that aging thins the skin, right? I mean, my skin is getting thinner, but my skin is getting thicker. All the time, less sensitive, less open, less trusting, more jaded, more cynical all the time. And every time I read the news about some lying politician or some manipulated stock or some scandal, this or that, I can almost physically, maybe you can too, almost physically feel my rib cage, going, just covering up the sensitivity of the heart just a little bit more. And that is actually, that's an unfortunate event for anyone, but as a singer-songwriter, I mean, everything I do is about, for me personally, is about finding and feeling and expressing a feeling. So the less I feel, the worse I am at my job in a way. I don't know how to put it. It's like, who would want to hear somebody sing who wasn't feeling anything? In fact, we all know what that's like. A perfectly talented person in a bar who's going through the motions to make a living. Got it. It's great. But you can tell when, if they're singing, Hotel California for the 750th time, they're probably not thinking about, You Can Never Leave. It's not like they're having an emotional experience. They're probably reading the lyrics off an iPad, and it leaves you feeling nothing, because they're kind of feeling nothing. So in my specific job, I actually need to and want to feel, and I don't know why I subject myself to things that make my heart go, So this song is about the decision to be available. Everything on earth, every living thing on earth protects itself from getting hurt. That's just smart. But there's a balance to be struck between covering up and protecting and being actually alive. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. So I was saying I have like an advantage, not the way I was raised to feel things, but certainly because I actually feel the songs I'm singing. Maybe it sounds obvious, or maybe it sounds like something that I ought to do since I'm technically a professional. But the truth is that the reason I choose songs on the fly and during a concert, the reason I do this the way I do it is because I want to be real. I actually would rather sing a song I'm feeling than pretend I'm feeling it. It's just, I said I gave a show a couple nights ago, which feels like a year ago, in Vancouver, gave a concert there, and early on, I blurt things out, and I'm sure I'll never know how many bridges I've burned. I cannot possibly know, mostly because I never ask. But I blurted out, I've learned over the years, 25 years, that I'm a terrible performer. Like, I said, no, seriously, because when I try to perform, I'm bad at it. If it's staged, if I've planned it out, it just does not come out right. The best I can do, this is all I can do, is to just actually share with you a thought and some songs around that thought. That's it. But when I sat down, I didn't talk about it last night. I played a little piano instrumental last night, right? The melody, for those of you who are here, went da 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 da. Does that sound familiar to anybody? I know a lot of you were here, and it was like just 3 or 4 minutes of very quiet piano. And that piece is called "A Child Is Born." It's something of a jazz standard. But the thing for me besides the fact that the sound is so good again today, by the way, Stella, and the fact that the piano is so nice and the room is so good and the people are so friendly, I mean, all these things are true, but that song specifically, talk about availability, that song, I have been playing that piano piece, every time I play it differently, but I've been playing that piano piece since high school, and it does a specific thing to me. It settles me. It calms me down. That's why I say it's a little bit of an unfair advantage in the sense that I know exactly what I can do at a nice piano to go inside and settle, right? Every so often I get a glimpse of, this is not a brag at all, it's just simply true. Every so often I get a glimpse of the capacity of a song I'm singing to do that for somebody else. I mean, I always want it to happen, but it's not my business if it's happening. You know what I mean? Like what you're feeling and thinking is your business. Every so often I catch a glimpse, though, and I thought I'd share in terms of the idea of availability. I thought I'd share this little story before I end, and that is years ago, some of you will remember Hurricane Katrina, which wiped out whole neighborhoods and thousands of homes, killed people. It was a disaster by any measure in New Orleans area. And a lot of the people who were displaced, who lost everything they had, went on an emergency basis. They went to the Houston Astrodome, which, if you've never heard of it, it is a bizarre domed building that I'm sure looked futuristic in 1950 or whatever when it was built, but it's kind of catastrophically ugly now. It's just a concrete monstrosity. And it was actually retired and empty at the time. They'd stopped using it for football and baseball and so on. It's a giant sports complex there in Houston. I'd never been there before. Just a sea of concrete and a couple of big buildings, and particularly the Astrodome, which was not being used. So essentially, the refugees from New Orleans were transported to the Astrodome for the emergency moment of somewhere to go. And the football field was laid open with green cots, thousands of them. thousands. And the reason I know this is because I went. My friend Richard Rogers, who's a minister, came up through Unity. He called me after the storm and said, "Hey, buddy, let's go to Houston." He's a minister. He's well, most people are tall next to me, but he's especially so. 6 feet something, a big guy, gives big hugs, gives great talks. He's the real deal. And I said, "I'm at my brother's wedding in New York." He said, "Change your flight when you go home. Instead of going home first, I'll pick you up at the Houston airport. I'll bring my son's guitar. You don't need a guitar. I'll bring it." And we did. I changed my flight, and he picked me up at the Houston airport, and we went to the Astrodome to walk the floor, and he gave people hugs and just held their hand and comforted them the way he does. And I walked around with his son's guitar, who was 14 at the time, and now he's like 30 and married, which is really depressing and makes me feel even older. But that's beside the point, because this is not technically supposed to be all about me. Anyway, so we walked the Astrodome floor for 2 of the hardest days I ever had in my life. It was the saddest. I'm grateful to say it was the saddest situation I'd ever seen. Right? My grandparents, I talked about last night, surviving the Holocaust. My uncle born in a refugee camp in West Berlin after the war. That was sadder, I'm sure. But this, for me, was maybe not sadder than what I saw. It was the depths of despair. People had lost everything in their lives, including, of course, some lost people they loved, more so than any possessions. But at the very least, they were suddenly refugees in their own country, sitting on these green cots with nowhere to go and nothing to do except wait. And they didn't even know what they were waiting for, getting food from the Red Cross, right? So there were volunteers floating around, a handful of us, and I was floating around with my guitar, with Ian's guitar, singing songs. And in the midst of this terrible scene, there were beautiful private moments. I talked about it last night also, that the little moments, the little acts of kindness, the little word of encouragement, a little smile unexpected, a little helping hand is actually all you and I have to give. Talk about being available. All we could do was be available. We weren't there to grieve with people, not really. I mean, you don't walk up to somebody. I've sung in the hospitals many times. You don't walk up to somebody in a hospital room and ask them how they're doing. It's not my business. And everybody else in that hospital wants to know how they're doing. Everybody wants to know their blood count or their most recent dose of this or that, or what their temperature is. And my specific intention in singing in hospital rooms is not to sing to the sick person, but to sing to the well person. I sing to the person behind the sickness, right? They're not a diagnosis. They're not a disease. They're not an age. They're not a temperature. They're not a blood disorder title. They're not a victim. Somebody's baby is in that bed. Somebody's little boy. As I think of it when I see somebody homeless on the street. That's somebody's son. How sad is that? That somebody's son ended up there. The last place his mother ever wanted her son to end up. This is the thing that breaks my heart on a regular basis. So here I am in the Astrodome, and I am singing for groups of kids, completely bored out of their minds, and it was awesome for a few minutes at a time, of course. But the most special moment, the moment I wanted to just describe to you real briefly, it's too late for real briefly, sorry, was, but in terms of availability of a feeling, okay, availability of a feeling, even if you, and I promise you, by the way, even if you don't feel any of the following feelings, somebody sitting near you does. Terror right now about a doctor's exam that's coming up or a test they just took, finding a prognosis for something. Somebody in this room is losing somebody they love and has a pit in their stomach about it, right? Somebody in this room is heartbroken about not being able to talk to their own child. They're alienated, their child is sick, their child is far away, their child has died. We walk around with a lot, right? We all do. We don't share it too often. We talked about that last night as well. But what feeling is available? right? We think that we're stuck. I'm talking about myself. It may not be true for you. It's easy anyway to think that I'm stuck with my nervousness. We're about a bill, or about a retirement fund that exists or doesn't, or is falling or rising, or a college fund, or a diagnosis, or the state of a home purchase, or a renovation, or a knee healing or not, or a surgery scheduled. Or we think, frequently I think, reading the news, watching politics, we think the anxiety is a cloud we cannot escape. That's why I open with the sky is always blue. And you know that, no pun or joke intended. You know that better than anybody in a place where it's so beautiful and yet so often cloudy and raining. You know you still live in paradise, even when it's cold, even when it's raining, even when it's windy. But it's easy inside to lose sight, to lose access to a feeling that is actually available. Frequently, it's a deep breath and a quiet moment away. That's how close a feeling of peace of mind is, of restfulness, of trust, of here goes nothing, is sometimes a thought away. I sing that one as a joke, but it's not a joke, right? I want that one. Give me the kind of life where I'm kind of flying blind. It's a decision. Am I going to be scared? Am I going to try to map out 10 points ahead, 10 years ahead? Or am I going to say, today I feel like taking a leap, man. I'm going. And you find out that you were okay all along. You've always been. So I sit next to a grandmother on a cot in the Astrodome, and I say, well, I don't sit first. I say, is it okay if I sit? Yes, because it's all the real estate in her life is that cot. You don't just sit down. It's hers. And I say, would you like to hear a song? Whatever. Her granddaughter is sitting next to her little girl. I say, well, how about I sing you a song? A song comes to mind. I think you're going to know it. And if you're open to it, I'm going to close my eyes. If you feel like it, why don't you close your eyes with me? And if you feel like singing it with me, I'm sure you're going to know this song. So sing it with me. And I closed my eyes, and I peeked, and I know she did too. And her granddaughter sat next to her, and we sang this little song together. And talk about an unfair advantage of a musician to be able to, for myself, feel something, summon a feeling. The gentleman who wrote this song, a man named George David Weiss, wrote this song, provided a glimpse, an availability, access to a feeling that, I mean, he might as well have been in the room, swooping in and dropping a little droplet of peace of mind. And I'd like to think, I don't know for sure, but I'd like to think she felt it too, this grandmother. And this was the song that I sang, and I'll finish with this for now. And it was really a glimpse of the availability of peace in the midst of turmoil. So here we go. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. If you're comfortable, why don't you close your eyes with me? And take a deep breath. And just ask yourself, what feeling do you wish you felt? What feeling has seemed just out of reach? Oh no, I couldn't feel peaceful. Oh no, I couldn't feel settled. Oh no, I couldn't feel at home, not in these circumstances. No, no. I can't feel trusting when so much is up in the air. No, no. I'll feel better then. I'll feel better after I hear back from. I'll feel better after I settle that conflict, after I resolve that lawsuit, after I get that blood test. I'll feel better when the paperwork is filed. I'll feel better when the sale is closed. No, no. I can't feel any of those things yet. Just consider the possibility, and like I say, maybe you already do and already have. Consider the possibility that the feeling you long for is already yours. You already deserve it. You already own it. You can already claim it. It may feel long gone, but it is not. It is a breath away. Whatever that feeling is, the feeling of company, the feeling of comfort, the feeling of sweetness or romance or love, the feeling of peace. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. Want to sing with me? I hear babies cry. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know, than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world.
Sorry, I'm back. It was a bit of a joke. Yes. Okay. This isn't an open mic, though, so let's not have everybody come up and start. This is our board president, so I'll allow. Yeah.
I'll keep it brief, but I was sitting here enjoying Daniel, and thank you. Thank you. We will not attack you. Okay. Thank you. And enjoying this moment and then reflecting on how this all began. This is important. I met Daniel when I went down for Thomas's ordination in Unity Village. And so I just went up to Daniel and I said, Daniel, you are a rock star where I come from. And he looked at me like, crazy lady. But I explained, I'm from Vancouver Island, and that was all I said. I don't know if you remember. And he said, I want to come. I want to come to Vancouver, blah, 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 I can do this and that and that. And I was like, okay. Then I went downstairs, talked to Thomas, and then explained. It's like, I think we can get this guy. Thomas, he's like, yeah, how much is that going to cost? It's like, I don't know, but it sounds like he's willing to at least engage with this. Anyways, unfolding, then of course, Unity Vancouver Island became our 3 centers as one. Building burnt down in Nanaimo. That kind of ended the dream for then, but did it really? No. So this is the point. Remember, when you have a vision, a dream, even if it's not happening in the moment, don't think that it's gone. Like, it's still there, right? So then Patricia got involved and did the reach out again with your Sarah. And this came to be. So I'm living my dream, seeing you here and having you come. So welcome to Canada. And maybe I can be your Canadian representative or something.
Thank you, Brenda. That's a really great segue to what I wanted to share, because we have an amazing board at Unity Vancouver Island. We have an extremely responsible board at Unity Vancouver Island. And a few years back, what we adopted on the board was something called a Purpose First account. And what that means is that we have 10% off the top goes out for tithing immediately of every penny that comes in. Doesn't matter whether we're profitable that month or not, 10% comes off the top. 5% then comes off for Purpose First, account that is dedicated to what we are doing, which sometimes we need to define what we're doing. I get that, because sometimes we lose sight of, well, what is it that we're actually doing here? But we have an account that is called Purpose First. And that is where the funding to bring Daniel up here came from, is that we have been diligently, the board has been diligently putting into this fund for 3.5, 4 years, and we have a pool of money available to do our purpose. And so from that is where Reverend Patricia then took the idea that Brenda had and said, here's how we can do it, and positioned it to the board. And it's like, well, what else are we going to use the money for? We should make use of it and do something for our community to grow, to heal, to be together. And so that's where that came from. Which leads me into, this is an opportunity also. We have some offering baskets here. You can donate to Unity Vancouver Island online, because our goal is to grow, unfold, expand as a center of light and love. And that requires 2 things. It requires human energy, will, and love all together, and it requires financial abundance as well. We are abundant on so many levels and financially, but it requires all of those things to do work in the world. And so first of all, from myself and the board, thank you. Thank you. We are a healthy Unity Center, and for that, that is because of you. It's your place. It's not mine, it's not Patricia's, it's not the board's, it's your community. So thank you. And join us for refreshments after. Please take it away. Thank you. Well, first of all, sorry. Thank you, Daniel, for being here. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I hope your family has enjoyed Vancouver Island and you'll come back again. Okay.
All right, one more song. I am, put yourself in my place, how flattering that is, that it was, that's somebody's dream for me to come. That's, that's really special. Thank you. Now I understand why you couldn't pay the full $2 million fee, but that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. And I'm going to sing this song. I know a bunch of you were not here last night, right? And but those of you who were can testify. I have not sung a single song that I sang last night, right? Not even one. You see, because I don't like to do this work, keep it fresh for everybody. When I do, sometimes I do a 3 or 4 day, like a conference for people. and I hop up and do songs the whole time. I dare myself to not repeat a song a single time, and it's fun. It's a fun thing, and it almost always seems to work out. However, I feel like, for those of you who were not here last night, I have a few songs that are so fundamental to me, and I feel like I want to sing One Power in honor of those of you who were not here last night who may know the song. It's, among all of my songs, it's one of the 3 or 4 most core songs in my life, and one of the most often requested ones and most often sung by other people. So I feel like I'm going to close with that rather than something sing-along, if that's okay. And I will be at that table filled with my music and my wife's shiny things. And there are a couple of little complications in terms of money. You know, it's American money and versus, so like, just come and look if you feel like it. And my wife is a silversmith, those who weren't here yesterday, and she makes beautiful, beautiful objects, earrings and rings and bracelets and things, and I proudly display it. It's handmade, sterling silver. And then on my side of the table, there's a flash drive. A bunch of you brought them home last night, which is really nice. But the flash drive is a little doohickey that is USB A or C and has 14 albums on it, 180 songs on it. It's like 11 or 12 hours of music. So if you're not sick of me yet, boy, oh boy, plug that thing in, and off you go. And the download cards, some of you discovered, I'm out of a few CDs, and I will mail them to you if you like. Oh, the real complication is the credit card thing. Okay, no complication. We got a credit card thing. Yeah. So there you go. And just to give you an idea, by the way, among the many other ways, I have to thank Charlene for picking me up. Where is she? For picking me up. Not just for picking me up at our hotel down the street, but not just doing it with a smile, and making the day fun before I even got here yesterday, but laughing at my jokes. I mean, come on, that's worth its weight in gold. So, I mean, I told my wife, I said, Charlene, this woman, she left a note for us at the front desk of the hotel with a couple little sparkly stickers on the envelope. And I showed my wife, look, I forget what it was, a whale or a little sparkly thing. And I said to my wife last night, I said, this woman, Charlene, she's a hoot. I mean, she's terrific. So, you know, hospitality for a stranger from out of town, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to my wife to know that I'm getting out of a car and that I felt welcomed and somebody laughed at my jokes, because she tries not to, you know, because they're getting more and more dad all the time. So, thank you. All right, so, yeah. Anyway, all right. Thomas ending right on time, just as promised. Sorry, here we go. All right, and by the way, last thing to say to the people watching, I'm so glad you are watching. It's a special thing. Thomas told me real briefly what's going on with these 3 different communities. I mean, thank you for being here and for being a part of it from a distance. It's no small thing. So I know you're there. Even if you're not in this room, you're still here. Everybody can feel it. I can feel it. The songs are for you as much as they are for people here physically in the room. So I'm just glad you're watching. And I'm glad this community is thriving. And may it continue to do so. It's an important thing and no small thing. I grew up going to synagogue. I'm Jewish, but my family is still friends with people we went to synagogue with in the 1970s. You're making old friends here without knowing it. It creeps up on you, old friends. You can't fast track it, and you don't know what's happening. And then you look back and you say, that's been a sweet place for me to go. And those have been nice people for me to sit next to for 5 years, for 15, for 30, for 40 years. And you think, that's been an important part of my life. It snuck up on me. Where else can you go to sit next to nice people and be sung songs? Not a lot of places where you can be invited to have a discussion like you did at the beginning. To say, let's talk about something interesting. Where can you talk about something interesting without coming to blows, without being afraid of who it's a resource. It's a special thing. So to be here for 24 hours is really It's something I feel and appreciate. Guitar's not on at the moment. And Thomas, when you talk about what this place stands for, what it's about, you know, I have no doubt this song says at least partly what this community is about. There's one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and just speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we're all the same. And we'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, or Jesus or Lord. Call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, yeah. One power is what we are. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon, for it's love that's most deep. It's one power. Oh, what we are is one. It's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love. it's up to me. Dance down that road, to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load, can lighten my load. Once I decide to change my mind, to change my mind, God will show me how. God will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you all for being here, and a huge thank you to all of our volunteers. You'll see them wearing a red sash. This weekend here could not have been possible without their help. Charlene's team, thank you so much for making this happen, everybody. Be safe today. Enjoy. I'm not sure where the baskets, oh, they're back here. One there and one there, or we'll run over to you, whatever it takes. Anyhow, thank you.